So we're going to discuss about the importance of training age. Here I'm giving an example of a volleyball player A and B. The sports age of the player A is 6 years, whereas the training sports age of the player B is 9 years. As you can see, B is obviously more experienced than A in the sports specific training. But when it comes to strength and conditioning training age, player A has 4 years of experience, whereas the player B is only 6 months of experience. So the frequency and the program design is depend always upon the training age of the trainee and athlete, and it also depends on the season, that is post-in, off, or pre-season. So you have to take into consideration the training age and the part of the sports season they are in. Obviously, this is the basic norms which will be given in any text. For beginner, optimal is 3 sessions per week, intermediate 3 to 5 sessions per week, advanced or elite can go up to 4 to 7 times a week. What does this mean? Actually, they are not mentioning 3 days of what, whether it's a resistance training or conditioning or recovery and regeneration day. So this is what I use in my facility. Basically, a beginner need high frequency of training compared to intermediate or advanced. Actually, this is not for accumulating or developing and improving the strength and power or improving hypertrophy. This is just for accumulating the movement literacy and physical literacy. So, let's say we are giving a full body training program, 2 sessions per week for a beginner. It comprises of back squat, or a variation of squat, and a variation of pressing movement. Just because he is only doing 2 days per week, the accumulation of physical literacy will be lower. Suppose if we are training 3 to 4 days per week, he is getting exposure to those movements 4 times a week, which will improve the acquisition of skill and will help in improving strength and in power endurance or whichever component is required for him. But this doesn't mean you have to load him up or increase the volume. It has to be kept low volume and low intensity, just to make him exposed to those movement patterns to improve his skill acquisition. So one more important thing most frequently asked is what to do after post game. Let's say they are competing in a league match and their final game is on Friday, which is an intense game. When can they train the next session? Actually, I prefer training the next day or the evening itself. If suppose they are finished the game at 2:30 in the noon, we can have a training session at 7 or next morning. But most people will be burnt out and they will be impossible to come to the training session. But this is very, very, very good to have a post session after the game itself, because there's something called peripheral art action training, which was famous in 1950s. One of the bodybuilder used this. We can use that method to bring the blood and nutrients to the damaged muscle to pump up the recovery and regeneration process. So a sample session would look like this, starting with self massage and dynamic warm-up. I don't prefer static warm-up post game because already the muscle are broken down. The goal here is to just activate the muscle group, train, don't strain or drain. So we are just going through 4 exercises, 2 for upper body, 2 for lower body, and finishing up with traction and mild aerobic compensation training. The effort should be 50% here. So you can use a variation of press and a variation of pull, one movement for hamstring knee flexion, and if possible you can use reverse hyper or back extension, but make sure everything is pain free. The goal here is to just activate the muscle. Finally finish up with some kind of aerobic compensation exercise. It can be a bike or a slow medium pace jog or tempo runs.